Hi, welcome to our second episode as we're working with Vin and Lisa Fetty on their ministry, Worship Live, and helping them get it launched, make some changes so that it can really get some traction and take off. And this week we get into some real nitty gritty, some actionable items of things that they can do that will dramatically change their message and how people respond to it. Right now, like so many, they're set up and they're focused on communicating what they do instead of putting something out there on their website which causes people to get interested in what they do. So I think you'll get some great ideas for your business or your ministry out of this, and some changes maybe you can make in your website. We're focusing all this on the principles in my book, The Candlestick Wars, and there's a link below where you can check it out. I also want to encourage you to subscribe. And then at the end of today's video, stay on just a little bit longer. We had an after session of Q&A. Once we'd finished recording, I just wanted to check with Vin and Lisa, see if they had any more questions, and they had some awesome questions. So I just reached over and hit record, and I've added that at the very end today. You'll also notice that my wonderful friend and partner in all this, Rick Redding, isn't on the broadcast today. He had to travel, and so he wasn't able to join us, but you're going to see his smiling face there anyway. Can't make a recording without my wingman, Rick. Oh, I wish that all of you had somebody in your corner like Rick Redding. He's just so great. So even when Rick can't be with us, I want to remember him and honor the part that he is in all of this. So enjoy, and remember, stay tuned at the end if you want just a few more insights to help you in your task and in your business. Hi, I'm Tim Buchanan.
And I'm Vin Fetty.
And I'm Lisa Fetty.
And welcome to another session of Values, People, and Purpose as we continue to work with Vin and Lisa on their incredible vision for Worship Live. And if you joined us last week, you got an introduction to them and their ministry and what they want to do. And so this week we're going to start in and take some actual steps of some things that they need to work on. They've done incredible background work here. This has been on their heart for years. But it's just not going to that next level, which is real common for where they're at. Tell us just a little bit more about the frustration you might be having.
You want me to take that, Lisa?
Sure.
Or you want to take it this time? Okay, go ahead.
No, I defer to you, darling.
No, it's the frustration is exactly like you're saying, Tim. It's taking from conception of the ministry and pouring all the time into it to getting it to the next part, which is the getting to do and light it all up.
Yeah.
Okay. How many years would you say you two have been working on this?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
At least a good solid 4.
Okay. How many hours would you say you two have sat together and talked about what you want this to be and everything?
Wow. Countless.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels like hundreds of hours.
How many hours have you just on your own when you're doing something else, driving down the road or whatever, that this was just on your heart and mind?
All the time.
All the time.
Every day.
And so out of that massive amount of effort and thought and soul searching and prayer and everything else, you've come to this point and you've created a vision, you've put together a mission statement, and you've put together the website.
Yeah.
And what
Yes.
what happens at these points is that those so often are put in terms of all those years that you've put in.
Mhm.
To the person that just stumbles on your site or that gets invited to your site, this is news to them. And they walk up and it's just this deep, deep, and they're like, whoa, I don't know if I get this. Let me ask you something.
True.
How long did you guys date? I'll ask Lisa. She'll know this one. How long did you guys date before he got around to popping the question?
Oh, it was only a couple of months. He was ready to ask right away. We both knew pretty much, I would say, right after knowing one another that this was it, you know. But it took a couple months. He waited, I would say.
So you knew each other a little while first?
Yeah, it was about 5 months.
And the first, how'd you get introduced?
We met online.
Okay, okay. And in that first online chat, did he ask you to marry him and just go into all the plans that he wanted to have for the future?
No.
That would have been a little weird, wouldn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
And I don't, I mean, if you enjoy weirdness, Vin, I don't want to steal it from you, but
No,
you know,
not that kind of weirdness.
there needed to be a time to get to know each other, courtship,
Mm.
everything else. And I'm a big believer in love at first sight. My wife and I both know the moment our eyes met, we fell in love. But it was years later before we got married because I was only a freshman in high school at that time. So that would have been weird too. But this is kind of the thing that we get into when these things, we've been working on them so long. They're so intense and everything else. And we come to this point and we're ready to get married. And the person that we're trying to reach out to get involved in the ministry or to minister to, or just get interested in the website and following you, all they want is, hi, how are you? And they can get all this other stuff. And there isn't anything wrong with it. It just doesn't relate to them. Wrong time, wrong place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So as we get into that, the website's a good place, and it looks awesome and everything, but it's a good place to start talking about the internal versus the external language.
Yes.
And we all understand what that is that, you know, you two probably talk about things at home. You just don't go out and blab in front of all the public. You know, you go out and try
That's right.
you know,
Yeah.
have a little couth about you and go out and do things. So
Yeah.
That's where we're going to start on this. And in this, again, it reads as a culmination of your calling and your thought and everything else. But it doesn't transition to something that is more of an invitation for them. In other words, you've built out this massive amount of passion. And what you've got to do is you've got to scale that to where it intersects with someone else's passions. Okay? And you're not necessarily looking for people who've got it all together, who know everything that you know, that have got this figured out. It'd be great to partner with them, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to really have a heart for people who have not really grown in their musical gifts to the point where they really know this, and you want to work on the discipling and help them grow, right?
And that's part of it. It's probably really a big part of it. The other part of it is that when they lose their way, you know, and the old man might kick in again, we want to be there to have the support for them.
Okay. So you're aiming for
Yeah.
people when they're
Go back to the first point.
struggling. Yeah. So when they're maybe struggling or their passion is waning, you want to be there for them.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So if it's, and some of them may be in a position like a man I knew one time, he was losing his business. He was going bankrupt and everything else. And he said, you know, I'm not angry at God or anything, but I really hate going to church right now. And I said, why? He goes, because I go there and everybody's so crazy happy, and I'm just not happy right now. And so, you know, we don't want to blow someone out. or go so far over their head that they miss. We want to have something that captures them in it.
Mm.
So in that, we need to get to this idea of defining the difference that you make, rather than what you do, the difference you make, and that's really, really big. Do you remember the Mountain Dew commercials from years ago? I remember they had one, and it was all these young people out swimming and stuff, and they took these two inner tubes and they tied them together and they put a guy in the middle of it,
Mm-hmm.
and they rolled him down a hill. And I was a youth pastor at that time, and so we went to the lake, and I grabbed two inner tubes and I stuck one of the kids in there, and we haven't heard from him since. But it was really funny, and I wish we would have had a phone to videotape it.
Yeah.
But Mountain Dew doesn't start out with their years of research. They don't start out with their chemical formulas. They don't get so deep in it. They just, people are like, hey, yeah, we want to go to the lake this weekend. We want to have fun. And so I guess Mountain Dew's fun. So we'll buy some Mountain Dew on the way.
Yeah.
Now, you have a different intersection of passion, but that's a general idea in this, is talking about the differences you make. Basically, their message is, we make a difference. You'll do crazy things if you have lots of caffeine from our soda.
Mhm. That's right.
Yeah.
So we want to start bringing around in terms of that. So here's some examples. You had stated here on your about page, and I'm just going to touch on different pages.
Okay.
On your about page, it says Worship Live is a new ministry committed to taking back the music industry for the kingdom of God, reclaiming the ground, the heights, and the hearts in every genre of music.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say a couple of things there. One, I think David did that pretty well in the Psalms. So I'd take out the word new. In that it's actually something that's been at the heart of God forever. And again, this comes in. It doesn't communicate exactly what they're going to be able to do with it or from it. So here's just an example. You know best how to put this in right, but here's an example. Teaching and discipling musicians in the body of Christ to create, sing, and lead with music that accurately portrays the heart of God. Now, from what you told me last week, that's really what I got out of it. And I heard you saying that there are three opportunities, not three avenues. Like you've got your different. See here, what you have. You had your conference in Hawaii. You had a couple of different things here. This is what I'm talking about. Just three opportunities and the difference that you make. Number one, education and how the sacred can overcome the secular. It's down simple enough that they can go, okay, because I think a lot of people share your heart that the secular music just can be so damaging to people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Opportunity two, to become a better musician and songwriter through Christ-centered collaboration.
That's right.
And three, and here's a big one that you shared you'd like to do, but I haven't really seen it easily communicated. Number three, providing non-musical Christians the opportunity to financially support the calling, training, and discipleship of Christian musicians. Because you shared that's a big part of it. Now, are those, other than being worded exactly right, is that in general concept what you want to, the difference that you want to make?
Would you mind rereading the third one for me, please?
Yeah.
I was busy taking notes on the other two, and I have heard it.
Providing, and I don't like the second term. I just didn't have anything else. And again, this is just providing non-musical Christians the opportunity to financially support the calling, training, and discipleship of Christian musicians.
Okay.
My dad loved music at church, but he couldn't sing worth a flip. Knew it, but
Yeah.
boy, he was ready to get behind anybody that could.
Right.
Yeah, that would be correct.
So those are some differences that you want to make, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be more. I'm just saying the wording needs to be such that it begins to communicate that someone says, wow, I would love to find someone that's a fellow believer that I could collaborate with on music. I would just love that. I think it would be education and discipleship and how the sacred can overcome the secular. I think a lot of people would enjoy that. You have a lot of different things, and these are just a few examples of the differences that you want to make. But to begin to communicate that straight up front so that when people come there, they're like, yeah, that's a longing of my heart. You have a very big and grand vision on the About page, to taking back the music industry for the kingdom of God, reclaiming the ground, the heights, and the hearts in every music genre. And that's a type thing that everybody will go, wow, cute baby, awesome. I hope it grows up to do so. But,
cute baby syndrome.
do you understand what I'm saying? That they don't relate to that. So what happens is when you do these other things, they come alongside you one day after you've been discipling and training them, and they go, wow, we're taking back the music industry from God. In other words, they aren't there yet. That's what you're going to do, is enable them in those things and disciple and train them.
Right.
And so actually, this is a goal that you're going to have in what you're doing with them. In the difference that you're making, this is that ultimate goal. But that's not what you lead with, because that's so far out there beyond them. Some of them have never even thought about that. And some of them are going to read that and they're going to go, huh?
Right.
You know, they may be a musician that was recently saved. And this is just going to go, whoop, but they may go, wow, you know, I'd like to learn how to make music for Jesus. I wonder if somebody could collaborate with me. I wonder if I could get discipled. And some of it may be really exciting to find out that they can get discipled as a musician and focus on their gift.
Right. I think a big part of our heart also is the ability to see someone who has been discipled reproduce themselves. And so going from a discipled person to a discipler, so that there's that continual growth in them, because when you're someone and you're the student, you're learning. But when then you take what you've learned and then you become the teacher, it just blows it up. It just causes you to grow so much, even to another exponential level when you're the one now teaching. And then that causes that reproduction, which is what Christ called us to do, is to make disciples. And so that really is at the heart of what we want to do, is make disciples, because then disciples disciple.
Yeah.
And there's that reproduction in the body of Christ.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so those are some of the incredible differences that you can make. And that's where you need to start. Now, if we were sitting here in person, I would walk up to you, Vin, and I would put out my hand like this, and you would just instinctively take my hand and shake it.
That's right. Yeah.
That's that first land on your website, to where you wouldn't meet me, talk to me for 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden stick your hand out to shake my hand. That'd be like weird.
That would be odd.
Okay. And that introductory process is the same way. you have one of the differences that you want to make right top and center, and that is the supporting struggling artist. Okay.
Mhm.
You need to have your difference there, right there. So as soon as they hit that, they go, hey, nice firm handshake. I want to learn more about this.
Okay.
And go through it. Now you don't have to tell them all 9 yards in Longhorn, just
Right.
something that they know the difference that you can make for them, something that you can do. And I will tell you this, and it's absolutely the hardest thing in the world to do it for yourself. I agonize over it on my website. And you will too, again, because we have so much depth of knowledge and thinking and everything else behind this. It's hard for us to wheel it all the way back to go, okay, what would I say to a person that has no idea what I'm doing here, just to kind of grab their attention? So
yeah, that's it.
So that's what you really want to start doing is working through the website to see how I can make a difference and or intersect at that passion level that people have, which again, most of them, it's way below yours. Okay. That's why the two of you are called to lead this, because you have this intense, incredible passion and time that you've committed to it already. And so it's trying to scale yourself back a little bit to bring them in.
Okay.
Thoughts or throwbacks so far?
No, I think hearing it, I'm understanding what you're saying, because of we know it to a really desired level that we're intimate with it, with the information. So when we put it out there, there's so much that we're doing, and so much that we have been called to, that, I mean, there's things that are going on even in the background that are even deeper, I feel, that go right to one-to-one personal, that we have been called to. But I think that's really been our tough thing, is because people said, well, what do you do? And I try to sum that up in a 15-second bigger pitch, or say, hey, we are, from, that's been the main theme of it all. So everything that's wrapped around there is music discipleship. So if I just said, hey, music discipleship, they're probably still going to be like, what? I think that's my main takeaway right now. Okay.
And you have one on here that you worded just awesome as a difference that would fit right in with those 3 examples I gave down towards the bottom. And it didn't print it exactly like the homepage, my printout. But down at the bottom, you said, a place for music artists to come and heal, refine their walk with God, and find their voice again. That's a great difference statement. Boy, that's one I'd put right up to the top, because, with me doing a lot of work in the area with pastors, I've heard of 2 pastors in the last week that were so frustrated and discouraged in their ministries that they left their churches. And I know musicians are in the same place. So that would be great to put right up front there that they could grab it.
Okay.
And then another one, again, I know that comes from your heart, but doesn't connect with them. And we're going to talk about how we use this in a really big way next week, when we start talking about some initial actions, reactions, and doable steps. And I mentioned a little bit last week about the phrase "seize the darkness." And that reminds me of Carpe Diem, seize the day. And I really don't want to go seize the darkness. I want to get away from it. I want to seize the light. And every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father of the heavenly lights. We know from the Bible.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I had an idea to just for you to start thinking that, and I've lost one of my notes here. I've got about 80 different pages of notes flying around.
Wow.
But rather than that, something like, again, this people, maybe not, especially someone that's new in this, and you want to get some new people in here. You really, really want new people in here. They're going to be the ones that are going to grow the fastest, and they're going to be the ones then that you can begin to pair up with the more mature ones who have been discipled, who are ready to disciple others.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think especially resonates today, instead of seize the darkness, heal the land. And that's from 2 Chronicles 7:14. And my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. Then I will hear from heaven, will forgive their sin, and will heal their land. And you know, in that discipling and how music has been corrupted by the world, as you've shared, that might be a good way to rephrase it. And I understand what you're saying, seizing the darkness. But again, we don't want to give credit to the negative, or we don't want to do any planning of the idea there in regards to the negative. We want to focus them and turn them towards the light, not talk about the darkness. And that is more hopeful. Whatever is good, whatever is profitable, whatever, remember, Scripture talks about talk on these things. So I think we even do that because when we talk about healing the land, or we talk about moving towards heavenly lights, anything like that, we're now speaking in terms of hope. Does that make sense? Okay. Every now
Yeah, I mean,
then
I think a big part of that. Yeah. No. Yeah. Once in a while, maybe.
Well, no, it's the video lapse. Every now and then you're freezing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you are too. So I think. Sorry about that. Might be our connection from here. But yeah, I was thinking, from sees the darkness, it really, you're right, it probably does have that negative connotation to it. But our heart was that it was seizing what was going on in their life, the loneliness and the despair that they had, that they're involved in, they came out of, and the enemy has them in that place. And that's what we were saying. We were going to come in and seize the kingdom of darkness and shake it out and bring them into the light. Not us, but the Holy Spirit. But yeah,
kind of like
I see what you're saying, though, is putting a negative on a positive. Good.
I was just gonna say, like when you take captive every thought,
right?
The word talks about taking captive our thoughts. It's kind of like that, like laying hold of it and seizing it, not in a way like I want to have it, but to lay hold of it violently in order to dispel it, like dispel the darkness.
Right. And I get what you're saying. I understand it completely. I'm just saying from a standpoint, looking at the widespread of your audience and what they may or may not know and where they may be spiritually.
Right.
Now, I want you to listen back to the recording on this, Vin. What you said, as you explained that to me, I think I would retitle it, and then you explained it as a difference that you wanted to make. And you did it in a wonderful way. So listen back to the recording and catch that. Because that's what I'd do. I'd rename it something completely different that points them more again towards the healing that it's going to have. And then and then I would put the descriptor under it very, very much like what you just said a minute ago.
Okay.
And we'll start talking next week more about steps, how we need to order this, and some things that we can do. We don't want that first step to be insurmountable.
Exactly.
We want those steps of getting acquainted to be something that people see as a doable deal. Okay. And we want it to look like, well, yeah, I could do that. And then they'll start progressing. And that's how God works with us. And he takes us each step of the way, and he plots each one for us. And that's what you want to do here. You want to take that example, and we'll begin to talk about steps next week that you're doing. I've got some ideas of how you can take some of the things you're already doing and really put together some cool steps that I think will get some people excited. So that I know one of the things you need to do and you want to do, you don't want to wait and have some kind of result out there in the future. After a while, that just, we call it delayed discounting. And the further something is away from us, the less motivation it has. And for you to keep your passion about this and your excitement and your commitment to it, you need to start seeing some kind of results now. And we can do that in a way that you start seeing something immediately, plus you start building towards what you eventually want. And so we want to start making that happen. So this week, go through and start looking at, fire me some emails back and forth if you want. And we can talk about those few things. But I want you to think about your pages here as an invitation to somebody who's new. This is your handshake. This is your hi, how you doing? And let's sit down and have a conversation to where they want to know more. And they're like, yeah, and remember, you've both been around music and musicians enough. You know where their passions are and where their highs and lows are. Try and have something in there that hits those different places people are to where they want to get, and then get just some small initial call to action. If you want to learn more and stay in touch, hey, if there's a conversation you want to be part of, and put your call to actions in there to click to get on that newsletter or whatever. But people today, especially this generation, they're more into collaborative work. They don't go on individual dates. All of them get together and go to a movie together. So they're into more collaborative atmosphere, and that's what you need to believe is, hey, you want to get in on this and make it something that they see will help them, but that is a small enough initial step they can get onto it.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Any questions after all that? That was kind of deep heavy. That was a 4-hour master's class lecture in about 30 minutes.
That was good.
I'm sure all my
Really
students
good.
would have wished I'd have gotten it done in 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think even after going through some of the homework that you gave us last week, we went through it. We kind of put it out in front of us, and it's helping us actually see what kind of when you say things like that about impact, having what is the impact in a person's life, and how can we have that impact? We're almost, in a way, hiding. We're saying we have the impact, but we're hiding the impact from them a bit just because we know it so well. And we know what we've been called to and know what we're supposed to do. But now it's conveying and putting that hand out there for them. So, yeah, I'm just reiterating.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Just put out there some differences that will make that would make them want to come along. And then in time, that impact will get made.
Okay. Cool.
It's kind of like when I go to the doctor, I'm like, you know what? Don't tell me what you're doing. Please just do it. I don't want the details.
We don't need all the details. Right?
And no, your people will learn those details. They're just not ready for them.
Okay.
So you guys have a wonderful heart for these musicians. You have a wonderful heart for the ministry of music. Just make that introduction. Look at your purpose a little bit. It's pretty heavy too. And think about the purpose you want to make in their lives. You've got this big grand purpose. Think more so that when a musician reads your purpose, they go, wow, they want to minister to me. They want to touch my life, my heart, help me be more effective in my ministry.
or we have the call. It's this big call. We don't have to show everybody all the moving parts.
Exactly.
And we just need to talk to the individual, speak to the individual, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. This is your communication. Talk in terms of difference. Read the next couple of chapters in the Candlestick Wars again. Glance over those, and we'll get together again next week, and we'll take the next steps. It sound like a deal?
Sounds like a
Sounds
good deal.
great.
Yeah, really enjoying it.
So for Values, People, and Purpose, I'm Tim Buchanan,
And I'm Vin Fetty.
And I'm Lisa Fetty.
and we're loving having you guys with us, and all of you watching.
Thank you.
Have a great week, and we'll see
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Rephrase and ask that question again.
Okay. So taking what we have in all over the website, basically what, like, is it okay to have a micro, what we do, Worship Live is music discipleship. And then to have this elevator pitch, 15 seconds or whatever, to tell exactly what we do. Do we do that elevator pitch in individual impact and show the impact for what a person is achieving, or do we show the impact of what we're achieving overall?
Okay. I think it's something that you could utilize that in saying, you could just have right there, do you know, or have you ever heard of music discipleship? Or do you know what it is? That could be the first thing right there, to where that could be a hook to where they look at it and they'd go, huh, that's kind of, no, I don't know what music discipleship is. What is it? Then
Okay.
you could bullet point what it is right there.
Okay.
And because, and again, you guys decide, is this the front door? Music discipleship, is that the front door you want them to come in, which is great. I mean, you're the ones that are going to know that. If we are, then let's lead it into them in an introductory way. And let's just look at it here. Do you get what I'm saying? That the present, I mean, it's a great thought. If anything else, it should be a sidebar. But the raising money for the musicians right up front, that doesn't tell anybody who you are, why they should keep looking.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I totally. I was actually thinking about that. I don't know, like last week. Like, when do we take that and put that down the page a little bit? And it probably, what you're saying is immediately you want to get that spot filled with the impact of why it matters to them.
Right. Why do I want to stay here on this website? What difference
Okay.
does it make? And
Okay.
what you could do with the fundraising thing is you could make that a pop-up, and if they click on it, open a new page.
Okay.
And then they could deal with it right there without taking them away from your website. But that could be a lower pop-up on a sidebar, or it could just be further down the page.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay, cool.
And if I did anything to really push that particular thing, I would have some type of testimonial with it, of some musician, or a short video of musicians, one selling his instrument or something, just something to visualize it for them.
Okay, more visualization. Okay.
And video would be great, or just a quick little testimonial.
Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. How about you, Lisa? Been pretty quiet.
I'm like writing furiously over here. Off the top of my head, nothing is coming to mind, but I'm sure, like 10 minutes from now. So I'll be like, oh, I wish I would have thought of that then.
Well, look at the things that Tim gave us to do, right? So he said, go through chapter 1, which we did, and do the questions together, which we did.
Right.
Everything that Tim's talked about is exactly what he went over. And that is some of the things that we want to do is, of course, like build more relationships. Like I want to get out there in front, in the foreground. I've been in the background for too long. So I think those questions were really good to pinpoint what is going on. And I think that's what you were trying to get to, Tim, on these questions in the back really helped clarify some things for us too, personally.
It's just hard to make that transition because you're so deep into it. We all are.
Yeah.
I was riding down the road one day with one of my parishioners, and he asked me a question, and I started giving what I thought was a really, really good answer. I mean, I pulled out all the stops. We were in the car for hours. I was going to, give him the full Bible college answer. I was talking away. I looked over at him, and this funny look on his face. And I said, did I say something that upset you or something? You have this look on your face. And he goes, no. And I said, well, what's wrong? He goes, I haven't understood a word you said for the last 15 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
And so, I just ran off and left him in the dust. This guy was nowhere near having that deep of a conversation. He wanted to short answer. So that's kind of where your website people are. Kind of like on your about page, how Worship Lives envisions making a difference. And see again there, Proverbs talks so much about the tongue. When I read that, and little words can make a huge difference. How Worship Live envisions making a difference. The inference there is, well, we'd like to, we hope to, we're kind of thinking we might. And I understand visionary, those are all catchphrases, but they don't communicate. What it is how Worship Live makes a difference. Period. Make a statement, because that's what you're called to, and that's where your heart is. And so even in that one, you have the interwoven ministries of Worship Live all reach towards one purpose, turning hearts to God. For discipleship makers, influencers, and those who hold back the sons and daughters of God, who bring back the sons and daughters of God to the heart of the Father. We take our place as the Spirit-filled music makers, rising up together with one voice, taking back the ground and telling the story of our God. That's a lot. And that's revival deep in intensity too. I'd say how Worship Live makes a difference. Give those bullet points, and then at the end I'd put joining Spirit-filled music makers and rising up with one voice, taking back the ground and telling the story of our God. Again, you want to. You said we take our place. There's no inference there. Hey, come along. All right.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why we take our place as the all out and just put joining Spirit-filled music makers and rising up together as one voice, taking back the ground and telling the story of our God. That's a great statement. And that's at the end. It kind of summarized, I hit this point, this point, this point, and 1, 2, 3, or 4 would have hit them. So now they're interested to read this. If they read this first, they went, well, you know where I am in my ministry. I don't feel Spirit-filled. We're diddly right now. So next, and they're scrolling onto Amazon. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah,
Absolutely.
The little words make a big difference in how we phrase. Yeah, because we were trying to be, I think, really cautious in the fact that because we've talked about this painting we have that we're making, but we bought the canvas and we've got the brushes and the paint, but we've just started to put the brush strokes on it. So I think having the bold statements. We're making a lot of bold statements anyway.
But that's part of the issue, Vin. You've got a Rembrandt mindset about this. You're going to paint a masterpiece, and you need to have a Tom Sawyer whitewashing the fence concept. How can we get everybody else to grab a brush and paint too?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
And
like
so, I would print out everything you have on your website right now. I print it all out, big paper. Because what you have right now is a blueprint for what you're going to accomplish. And you have articulated your heart and your calling very well in this. You just wrote it down the wrong place. You wrote something awesome. You just wrote it down the wrong place. That makes sense?
Yes.
It does. Yes.
It's more internal than it is external.
Right. And that's the shift you have to make from internal to external verbiage. And most people never make that change. And then they're like, well, it was so awesome. What
You got to write the vision plainly.
They didn't get it because you were so far down the road, they couldn't hear what you're trying to yell back at them. You need to walk back up the road now that you've been down it, get them and take them back up the road with you.
Okay. Yes, I like that. We're yelling back down the road at them.
Yeah.
I see it now. Yep.
I did this for a political candidate, and his chief of staff had his buddy build the website, and he little liked it. And I'm like, I printed this thing out. It was like 20 pages long, just put end to end, end to end, end to end. It was terrible. And I said, you're killing yourself here. And he goes, well, I'll have Joe take care of it. A made up name for his chief of staff. But Joe wasn't going to do anything because Joe didn't want to make his buddy upset. Guess what? The guy lost the election, and it was a big time election. He lost. And so, you can do it. And so, yeah, but, and I think we have some great steps we can do. Once you can rework this, and maybe next week, why don't we maybe spend next week, we'll spend some time going over the changes that we made, and I'll let you walk me through it.
Okay.
If you want to bounce some things off or have me take some look-sees during the week, holler at me, and I'm glad to do it.
Thank you.
And we can converse next week. Next week, I'll just pull up a screen share mine on your website, and we'll go through and look at some changes that you made, and you can explain to people. And I think that will be real helpful to people if they naturally see what you do.
Excellent.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
For me, no. I think that's the really good amount of homework and really digging back down through it. It is.
It is. Don't be slackers. Burn.
No. I will. Trust me. I want to get this. I really want to pray and get this really zoned to where it's supposed to be, and taking everything that you said and doing exactly that. So if we can shoot that through the week and have you take a look at it and see if we're going the right direction, or just tell us, no, you guys are still not getting it. We're open.
I think you got the idea of what direction we need to go in. I think you can do it. We can tweak it a little bit, and it'll be great. So you want to do it, and you're taking it. Some people, boy, you talk about changing their website. I mean, it's just like.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, if you want to, the definition of learning is to change, and a lot of people don't want to change, but those that do, they get on down the road. So I think you guys are going to go a long way. You guys are very teachable spirits, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
All right. Well, take care, and we'll be talking during the week, and we'll get together next week.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Bye-bye.